Hey everybody, Evan here again. I think that we have Chris. Chris, can you hear me right now?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Welcome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Maybe we
Hey.
can't get the camera to work, but the PowerPoint should work.
Okay. Awesome. Chris, are you ready for me to make you a presenter?
I am.
Thank you. All right, Chris, you have the presenter stick or whatever you call it. I don't know. The presenter. You have the whatever they would call it if we were in person. The remote. You have the presenter remote right now. So go ahead and
Okay.
do your thing.
Can you see what you see NFTs on there?
I can, yes. And let me check with let me shout this out to the crowd. Can you all see Chris's screen? Can you see the presentation? Please go ahead and just add all right. Yes, we have one. Yes, I see the screen. There we go. Now it's in full screen. We have one yes. Ooh, yes, we have yes. We have three yeses. This is looking good. Yes. All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Katya. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Sal. Sal, great to see you. Thanks so much for coming again. Sal is one of our repeat Pinellas techies from back in the days when we had this in person. And hey, you know what? Soon enough, I think that we can go back to being in person. Last night, I attended the meetup extravaganza in Tampa. I don't know if anybody was there. It was at Armature Works. It was really awesome. It was like 8 or 10 different meetup groups all coming together at Armature Works, and it was a really awesome time. So without further ado, Chris, I'm just going to give a quick introduction. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. If at any time you cannot hear, please just let me know, or if you can't see something, just shout in the question window. That's where we'll have our conversation. This is the December Pinellas Tech Network Meetup, or as we like to call it, PTN, which started in 2018 as an in-person knowledge sharing event in northern Pinellas County, Florida. Pinellas County, for those who don't know, is located in Tampa Bay. It's the largest city that it's near is St. Pete, and Tampa is not too far away to our east. We are right near Clearwater Beach. When we started the PTN meetup, we strive to provide a place for local tech industry folks to hear about Tampa Bay area leaders and network with other tech folks from cities such as Clearwater, Dunedin, Tarpon Springs. Mainly just say that, hey, North Pinellas County has a tech scene and we are here for you. Now that we're a virtual event, our reach has significantly widened. It's not uncommon for us to have guests from around the world. So this night is sponsored by Geographic Solutions, a company geared towards helping folks on their career journey. We specialize in developing and maintaining online SaaS solutions for workforce development, economic development, education, corrections, human services, unemployment insurance industries, and so much more. We're almost ready to welcome our guest, and you've heard from him already. One piece of housekeeping, please, as I said before, just ask any questions in the Q&A window in the top right, go to webinar area that you see on the side there. At the end of the presentation, we will discuss all the questions asked. And I do know that there was a bunch of questions asked on Meetup. We'll try to ask those as well. And now I'd like to introduce Chris Krimitsos, founder of the Florida Bitcoin and Blockchain Summit, a leader in podcasting and live events, and the writer of Start Ugly. Chris is going to talk about the basics of non-fungible tokens, blockchain, and more. Chris, welcome, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Evan, thanks for having me. So I'll try and cover the basics to NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and I'll start now. So the first thing I want to start with is non-fungible token means non-replaceable thing. Think of it as a token, but if we're to look at that, it's a non-replaceable thing that you could trade for. But the thing I really want people to understand, this is kind of a map of like the big banks, what bank kind of dominates in that state. And in the age where I grew up, everybody was like, man, the bank that could have access coast to coast will be the one that will have the wide array of network to, transact and have clients. And this has been going on forever. Wells Fargo, a West Coast bank, Chase Manhattan, a New York bank, and both of them are the two largest, as well as other banks, Bank of America, go on, so on and so forth. Anyways, this is just a little map of different banks in different states. And the reason why I show this is the financial market, and the way it would work is we would have, let's say, our credit card transaction, it would be processed and it would go to the issuing banks. And then at the end of the night, all the banks would reconcile with each other. Each of them are centralized units, and then those centralized systems would then talk to each other in another centralized system. And it even though, you know, I don't know if anyone's of the age. I'm of the age, when I started working at a job, they had what's called knuckle busters, and those are credit cards. You'd put them down on like double carbon copy paper, and you'd literally like put the thing over. I remember them throwing out the machines when I started working as a kid because they were just really inefficient compared to electronic communication. And we just recently stepped in from the credit card that has a strip on the back of it to credit cards that have a microchip inside it. And the reason is the magnetic strip kept the information localized and secure inside that little magnet. Once you put a chip in a credit card, your information could be stolen quite easily by hackers and all kinds of people. And that's why that innovation didn't happen until recently. And now I think all of us have seen the terminals due to COVID. They all work wirelessly, even though they kind of had the capabilities. So why do I share this? It's fundamental to understand this is the system we are about to leave from, and the blockchain slash NFT, the Ethereum, Bitcoin. These networks are the networks of the future, in my opinion. So this is how capital works. This is how it moves, and there's some drawbacks to this. So I'll explain a couple of drawbacks of this system. If you are a company, and I don't know if anyone has seen this, but this is true. It happens every time. I've seen companies that start and they're unicorn kind of companies, and they will do over $1 million in business on day one, which is very rare, but it happens. If you don't know what happens to them, their credit lines get pulled and they literally go bankrupt before they even start. This happens in the trades. Every year you see a company that this would happen to. That's because it doesn't fit the norm of the processing transactions that happen within the system. And since it's a highly centralized control system, it doesn't allow for variances. So let's go to the Bitcoin Ethereum system. Each of them are different technologies. But because we're going to be talking about NFTs, I'm going to focus on Ethereum, which is on the left, because the majority of non-replaceable tokens. Instead of fungible, you'll hear me say non-replaceable because it just makes more sense. Fungible is an economics term, but Ethereum allows the greatest variance for NFTs to take place, and that's where the majority of NFTs are happening, as well as another technology called Solana and others. But right now, the majority of them are getting transacted in the Ethereum network. So the new model of how things are working are literally, you could be in El Salvador, you could be in Africa, you could be anywhere in the world. It really doesn't matter. You could be an Eskimo up in the North Pole. All you need to have is a cell phone. You download a crypto wallet, and then you could get some tokens or currency, let's just say in this case, Ethereum. And now you could transact with your Ethereum to buy, in this case, NFTs, non-replaceable assets. Non-fungible tokens, which is what that stands for. And the unique part about this, and this is what's caught everybody's attention, these things are going for millions of dollars, some of these things. And you have to realize in a conventional world, that could never happen. In other words, if anything that was art related, and if it was to be sold for, let's say, $69 million, which is what people's project just went for, I think it was 67, 69 million. It would be controlled by Sotheby's. The buyers would be vetted. We would know who the buyers are. And in the pool of buyers, there'll be individuals as well as institutions and museums would be bidding on it. It would not be open to the common man. The common person would not have access to it. And it would be very restrictive. In this new world, we're watching art, digital art, go for millions of dollars to people we've never met before in places around the world that we don't even know can happen, because the system verifies that they have the Ethereum, the currency, and that they're able to buy. And then as long as they have a wallet, the network will accept the payment and allow the transaction to go through. This in itself is a watershed moment in history, in that decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, are allowing for the processing of enormous amounts of money to go through for non-fungible tokens, non-replaceable digital assets. So I'm not going to get into the complexities of how it works, but I do want to touch on it a little bit. Basically, there's a bank of computers, nodes, that make sure to verify that A, you, the buyer, have the money in your wallet, and B, the other person has the asset. And then as this network processes, it processes that the transaction happens, and it verifies that the transaction happens. So even though Ethereum is known as a cryptocurrency, it's technically a technology platform. It's a housing of sorts that allow for this to happen. And Ethereum is the unit of measurement that is allowed to be used for these transactions to happen, especially for NFTs. And the reason is Ethereum is very robust in that it allows a lot of people to write code and program on its network. And that's how NFTs have become so popular on this network. The one challenge with Ethereum is what's called gas fees. And this is how your transactions get cleared. And they use a unit of measurement called Gwei. Think of that as a penny, except probably 1,000 times smaller. Unit of measurement, it's a very small unit of measurement. And then you, the consumer, can put in how much times that Gwei you would like to pay to get your transaction cleared. In other words, think of it as if you've ever bought a ticket from Eventbrite. Eventbrite charges a fee. This is the fee for you to do your transaction. The biggest challenge right now with NFTs, I don't think anyone thought that the amount of volume that we have right now would ever exist this quickly. Therefore, it's creating bottlenecks in the system, because these computer banks, these people that run these nodes anonymously all over the world on the internet for Ethereum, must clear transactions. And I could overbid. I could say I'm willing to pay more gas, more fees to have my transaction cleared over you, and then these individuals will take the higher fees. So it's creating a more expensive structure than I think people have intended for, but it'll even out as more people join the network to help clear transactions. But think of that, it's really called gas fees, and it is what it is. It's the fee that it costs to clear a transaction. Now, the biggest block people have is, why would anyone want anything digital? You have to understand that the next generation would ask, of those of us that ask that question, why would anyone want a $100,000 piece of metal around their wrist? So it's the same argument. It's just one generation might not get the next generation. And the reason is, and by the way, this is a Dali, it's a priceless work of art. Evan is with Pinellas County. Pinellas has the Dali Museum, probably one of the greatest museums in the world. And at the same time, this is a poster on Amazon that's being sold. So imagine if Dali himself had his original, and then he had a digital copy, maybe 1,000 prints, limited editions. And then he might have said, hey, I'm only going to make 30,000 posters after that. Someone as popular as Dali, his posters right now might be worth 1,000 a piece, and it would limit the supply, and we would have a signature instead of literally, on Amazon, you could find posters for $22.99. And the other interesting thing is the technology could allow Mr. Dali to program a fee in perpetuity for the rest of his bloodline and everybody attached to it, attached to his art, that would go support anything that he wanted. So this is the new innovation that comes with the blockchain, in that we could program things into this technology, and it'll last forever, for as long as the technology, but basically forever. So the next generation doesn't see the way we see. They see a world that is virtual. They're already living in a virtual world. Twitch streamers and all these individuals, they are pretty much doing things digitally, and they see a value to digital assets. But the interesting thing is, we know NFTs as a lot of people know it as digital art. It's actually a little bit more robust than digital art. And I think people are starting to learn about it, and we'll go into it in just a second. On this screen here are the top 10 biggest NFT marketplaces. So the first one is OpenSea. Volume is 9.24 billion. Then you have Axie Infinity. You have Top Shots, NBA. That's NBA Play, 700 million. Rarible, Super Rare, Square, go on, so on, so forth. If you want to take a screenshot, this goes down to volume, team size, headquarters. So for anyone looking for a job in this industry, I would be applying to these companies right here, because I could guarantee you, however many people they have right now, they're probably going to double to triple to quadruple over the next year, if not 10x. So this is a great place to find work or talk to these individuals or work with a company that is supporting these companies. This is OpenSea. You could explore or create by what you do is if you upload a digital asset, let's say you created something and you put on OpenSea and you mint it. By minting it means you have just created a code, follows that piece of art, that creation of yours, and that code now is specific to that property. So now you could own digital property. It's like a VIN number for cars, but much more complex, but we don't really need to know the complexity. We just need to know that as a verifiable signature. And now someone could buy that. And when they buy it, you just minted your first piece of art or NFT. And when you go, what I would recommend is going to OpenSea and go check out what they have. Go check out the art. Go check out the virtual worlds, the trading cards. Some of the NFTs also have physical products attached to them. So they come with physical products. There's a lot of hybridizing in this. This is a good friend of mine, Glenn Sanders. He came to the Florida Bitcoin Blockchain Conference, the first one in Orlando, and he was creating these circular pictures of places all over Florida. And he has become quite popular now as an NFT artist, and I'm pretty sure he's done pretty well. So you see here, the price of his art is half an ETH, and he puts it up here, and it also comes with audio and visual experience along with each piece, so you could play it on a screen in your home. And you'll see more and more of this. Top Shot's really interesting. I mean, they basically are selling NBA plays, and we're going to see this now. NBA and WNBA, we're going to see this across every league. I mean, Tom Brady has his hands in a couple of pockets already, but literally, instead of the next generation collecting cards. So, for instance, I came of age in the early 90s where I collected thousands of baseball cards thinking I was going to be rich. Unluckily for me, I grew up during the generation where they printed millions of cards. Therefore, the majority of my cards are worth less than what I bought them for how many years later. The cool part, though, is I give them to my nephew and he thinks they're worth a lot. So I ship them to him as a birthday gift. That's awesome. In this case, when you buy an NFT, they are already in limited edition, so you already know that they're rare because it says right here, Kevin Durant dunk, rare, 129 out of 499. Now, some of the things that most people don't realize is some of these people have made so much money in the crypto space, because you're talking about a $2 or $3 trillion industry that just popped up overnight in the last few years. They're actually buying art to offset some of their gains because you could depreciate art. So there's also a tax strategy behind buying art. And it's a little intricate, but just to understand why is there so many people buying art, there's also other strategies behind just buying art for the sake of buying these things. There's tax strategy on depreciating these assets as you buy them. So the NBA has these packs. They come with, but it's all limited edition. I think that's the key. This is not like Topps when I grew up selling millions of copies of the same thing. Everything's limited. There's a perceived value to it. People can collect them, and it's creating a new marketplace that never existed before. I did get this chart of top 10 NFT marketplaces by trading volume in the last 30 days. I think this was in October of this year. But Axie Marketplace is like a virtual world. They have over 250,000 traders, so they're actually growing quite rapidly. OpenSea, again, this is trading volume, and you could see kind of how everything is. Top Shots is right there, bringing in 13.5 million in the last 30 days. This is Axie Infinity. It's a digital world, almost its own little metaverse. And what people do is they go on the Axie Marketplace and they buy the things that they need for this digital world. For anyone that's like, wow, this is kind of weird, you have to understand this is not new. Farmville, all these games that we had, if you remember 5, 6, 7 years ago, people would complain about their kids getting on their apps and upgrading and buying literally hundreds upon thousands of dollars upgrades to play these little games on their phones. The difference, though, now is there is a monetary unit of value that we all agree on, Ethereum, and we have an entire digital world where we could trade into perpetuity on all these platforms in a way that's decentralized. So it makes a big difference because the next wave of innovation will be in the DAO space, the decentralized autonomous organizations, and it's happening right before our eyes. So this is a story at the first ever Florida Bitcoin and Blockchain. Evan, you'll appreciate this. We had a 19-year-old kid show up, and he created the Altura NFT. And what he did, his name is Maxim, what he did, he came from Toronto. He explained to me that to him, NFTs aren't just gaming, aren't just art. You could actually unlock them and you could create digital assets in these gaming things and actually give people better tools if they upgrade their NFTs as they work in the metaverse. To be quite frank with you, I didn't understand it when I first heard it. I just knew the kid was really smart, and I kind of understood what he was saying to me. But in this world, you have to hear things a couple of times, especially I come from the physical world, so this is all new to me, these concepts. At the time, his NFT was his total cap of his coins were about 1.2 or 1.6 million. I looked today, his coins now are at 74 million. And it says here he's introducing the future NFTs, what we call smart NFTs. So this is the next evolution of what you're going to see. So imagine a video game with swords that get stronger every time it is used to slay a monster. Smart NFTs have properties that can change based on certain conditions. This is what you're going to see really grow out of this innovation. So right now we're in a bubble. More than likely the bubble will burst. But as many of us know, when the internet bubble burst, Amazon, eBay, all these things still came out of it. Google. So we're going to see a lot of innovations coming out of this. But it's got to clear out some of the stuff. So this kid, I think, is one of the sharpest people I've met so far in this journey. And I would say whatever he's doing, I would want to be part of, or at least know, because he seems to understand it better than most. So I grabbed some of his tweets so we could all learn alongside Maxim. He said, right now, NFTs are being sold for millions from the World Wide Web source code 5.4 USD. This is on June 30th, by the way. This is like 2 weeks after he appeared at my conference. To the Twitter NFTs, digital collectibles have proved valuable. So think about that. Back then, 5.4 million. Now I think we're in the billions. As these NFTs have value now as collectibles, what value will NFTs have when they have utility? I bet a lot more. The broader use in future NFTs will depend on their utilization as something more than collectibles. The faster we move from NFT collectibles to NFTization of digital and physical assets, the better. Let's bring NFTs into practicality. So this is one of his posts. This other post from Maxim is the internet timeline. 1990, internet begins. 2000, internet adoption on the rise. Remember, that was the bubble bursting for those of us that were investing back then. 2010, internet matures and is centralized. So he's right. It was all centralized. Now we're seeing the effects of a centralized internet with people getting censored all across the spectrum, depending on what the platform likes or doesn't like. In 20 years, the internet went from nothing into a global hub, however, with the drawback of massive centralization. So these 19-year-olds understand that this issue right now is we still have centralized power, even though we have the internet. So here's what he thinks the crypto timeline is. 2010, crypto begins. So decentralization begins. 2020, crypto adoption on the rise. 2030, crypto matures and control is given to the people. Do you think crypto will follow the internet? Let me know. So he's asking that question. So it's just an interesting case study. Now, Evan asked me to kind of cover how to find jobs within this space, how to find what's going on. One is talk to Evan and his team. They're amazing. But two, this is a conference we just wrapped up in the Amalie Arena. And what I will tell you is people are hiring across the spectrum in this space. One of our largest sponsors at this event sponsored it for one reason, to meet people that they could hire, and they're very happy with the people that they met. So what I would say is get involved. There's a lot of, in the Tampa Bay area, we have a lot of kick-ass female leaders in this space. So I'm very proud of that. But in Florida in general, and there's just a lot of really amazing voices and people in this space. Evan, I'll just close out with this really cool graphic. These are the most expensive NFTs so far. Every day is the first 5,000 days from Beeple went for 69.3. CryptoPunk Larva Labs went for 11.8. CryptoPunk 7804 went for a 7.5. CryptoPunk went for this one 7.5, and Crossroads from Beeple 6.66. These are people are actually buying these and then using them as their Twitter profile picture, so they are being used as status, and it's something that you're going to see more and more of, and it's a way they could differentiate. So instead of a Rolex, people look at their profiles all day long, so this is a status symbol that they could put that everybody could see. And I believe, and then that's it. If anyone wants to learn more, if you go to the Florida Blockchain Summit.com, make sure to get updates. We are going to be doing events all over the state of Florida. We're excited for what is happening, and we're excited to bring the next generation of content creator together. So with that, I will turn it back over to you, Evan.
Hey, Chris, thank you. That was awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to share this presentation with us. And Chris, I know we're kind of having a problem with sharing the camera here, so that's, normally I would just kind of turn my camera off and kind of let you go solo with the camera. But we do have some questions from the audience, so I just kind of want to go and address some of these real quick. Let me look around here and just see. And actually, Sam had a question. He works for a co-op, and Sam, do you want to go ahead and ask this question if I turn on your audio? Yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself, Sam, and you can go ahead and ask Chris. And Chris, is that okay with you if we just go to a couple of audience
Yeah,
members?
if you could help play, help me with that, I'd appreciate it. Thanks, Evan.
Sure. Yeah, Sam, go ahead and unmute yourself. I have you unmuted. There we go.
Great, thank you, Evan. And thank you again, Chris. That was a wonderful talk. So I work for a national co-op. I think that they could see a lot of growth by adopting blockchain technologies and trying to form a decentralized autonomous organization. I think that they could maybe see partnerships with other co-ops, and that could be a bit more feasible using the autonomous solutions that blockchain offers. But I work for their customer service team doing customer support from home from them. They're a Washington-based company, and I'm just not really sure how to approach them with that from my current position and try to get it to be something that they actually hear instead of just shrug off.
So this is the common issue that I deal with. Honestly, the best thing you can do is if you could find the right conference that you could maybe bring someone with you or ask someone to come with you or somehow expose them to the information. We have some high level people like yourself that come to our events, and what they'll do is they'll ask us if they could bring their CEO on the next go round to see what's going on. The only thing I'd be very careful of what event you're going to take them to, because in this space you either have the get rich quick events or events like ours that deal with large scale companies, DAOs, policymakers. So try and expose someone that's an influencer in your space to either a group locally where they're at, or if you could get a lot of these individuals know they have to know something and they're willing to come out to these conferences to at least see what they don't know. And I would say that would be one of the best steps if you could get them to buy in with you, to at least come out to a conference to see what's going on.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult, but that's one of the ways I found that works.
I really appreciate that input. Thank you.
Yeah, great question, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to go over to Rupert. I'm going to unmute you, and Rupert, you can go ahead and ask your question. Rupert, go ahead.
Well, Chris, how you been, man?
Hey, man, how's it going, Rupert?
So you know all about us. Technically, we're a game publisher and an accelerator, and we're looking to partner with someone who can help us set up our primary tokens. We're going to do like a utility token that we can use across all our platforms and games. And so we're looking to find someone. I mean, we've already found a couple people, but I'd like to have a choice. And so we're looking for like a database of service providers that can help us do, you know, set up our platform and help us with the paperwork and, you know, provide us with some marketing chutzpah and so forth. Is there like any kind of database that we could go to?
I'm sure there is. If you send me an email, Rupert, I've been meaning to call you back. Send me an email and I'll connect you to 2 or 3 leaders in the space that at least could tell you if there is one or where the best place for you to go for best practices. All of this is developing in real time, the stuff that Rupert is asking, but I'm sure there's something out there.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
And Rupert, the next thing we're doing, we'll be in Orlando, May 25th, 26th. We'll be doing Florida Bitcoin blockchain out there. So
I'm
we're
already
excited
on the
about
date.
that. Yeah, good man. Okay, good.
Okay, and let's go over to Mike. He is asking, what are some other examples of utility NFTs? Let's see if Mike is on the line. Mike, I just unmuted you. Go ahead. Actually, Mike, you should be able to go now. See if you can unmute yourself.
Okay, got it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Okay. Hey, good. So I thought the screenshots of the tweets you showed at the end about I guess these so-called utility NFTs that's really interesting. I mean, I'm kind of I'm relatively new to this space, but I've only heard of kind of like the collectible side of things, and I totally get like the sword in the game that like gets stronger or whatever. Are there any other examples? Maybe especially let's say like outside of gaming of let's say what like utility NFT would be.
So Mike, what I would tell you right now, that's the first area that it's getting proliferated. That's going to be the gold rush. The people that figure out creating the next level of utility NFTs, you're talking about a 50 to $100 billion area. So right now, gaming is the big one. But I'm looking up right now. There's something called blind boxes. It's powered by $BLES is a fungible, freely exchangeable currency with defined utility. It's such I'll be honest with you, Mike, my research after this, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into utility NFTs because I think that's where the future is. And that's going to be where you're going to find a lot of big opportunities in the space. So I don't have any examples for you right now, but I will tell you, if you learn anything, please reach out to me. I will be doing a lot more research in that space. And I think your instincts are spot on to look into that space because that's going to be the huge growth area.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. And I'd like to go over to James. He had posed a question here at the beginning. James, do you want to go ahead and ask your question? And James, I don't hear you, but Chris, James was just asking, and we can see if he comes on or if they come on. But James was asking, he's looking to learn more about NFTs and blockchain and the best way to begin investing in them. So we may have covered that in the presentation, but what are some like ways to just kind of get started like right away?
There's a community out of Orlando, or a lot of them are based out of Orlando. It's an international community. It's called the Crypto Knights community, KNIGHTS, Crypto Knights on Discord. They're probably one of the fastest growing communities, and they have some amazing influencers on TikTok and YouTube that teach this. I would highly, like Crypto Wendy, I would go through them. Crypto Knights, Mike Sessa is the head of it. Rupert, I don't know if you know him, but I'll connect you with him. He's out of Orlando, great guy. And he's part of our events. He's my go-to when it comes to this stuff. That's who I hit up for NFTs. They're big on that spot area of it.
Awesome. I'm
Awesome.
looking up Discord right now.
Awesome.
And going over to Moreland. Moreland, if you want to unmute, I have you unmuted on this end, and you can ask your question.
Great presentation. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I just wanted to know if you had any ideas for people that are trying to sell their NFTs, but not, obviously for free. Like, what would you recommend to try and get your NFTs out there promoted to hopefully sell something?
If you're like a starting artist, seems like OpenSea seems one of the easiest places to get started. I see a lot of my friends using that. and they feel it's really easy. The one thing I will tell you that all budding NFT sellers will learn almost immediately is gas fees. And they'll tell you all about the gas fees because they're kind of high at times because of the amount of, the only thing I could liken the NFTs are when iPhone came out with its smartphone and it had all the apps on it. I remember there was an article like AT&T just upgraded their system. There's no way we'll be able to use the capacity on their network. And I remember within like a year, they're like, because of the iPhone everybody using, they can't keep up with the capacity. That's kind of what's going on with NFTs, and the gas fees are kind of high because the capacity is insane. So that's just something to learn more about. Hopefully they'll equalize out. We need more people clearing the transactions for the gas fees to go back down. We need more technologists. So Evan, there's huge room for growth for people on that side.
I see. All right, that's good to know. I want to go over to I don't know if I'm going to say this correctly, but Giancarlo. If you are out there and you want to go ahead and just kind of share some of your experiences, I will unmute you and you can go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so my name is Giancarlo Rios. I noticed a lot of you guys have been asking questions in regards to where to learn about NFTs, how can you start investing in them. I would definitely recommend to do as much research as you possibly can out the gate. A lot of assumptions within the NFT space is that, okay, I'm going to buy a JPEG and it's going to be worth a lot of money some way, somehow. And it's just not true. I've personally been doing NFTs since February. I was around when, CryptoPunks at the time weren't even worth nearly as much as they are. You could have bought a CryptoPunk at the time for maybe $10,000, $20,000. I've been around to see the minting of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is also a very huge pop culture phenomenon going on right now. I missed the mint. The mint was on whitelist only, so it was pre-sale. They were selling for $200 at the time. The cheapest one you could buy now is $220,000. So after being in the space for a long time, I can definitely assure you the things that Chris mentioned in the tweets that I think Evan was his name posted on the presentation is absolutely true and absolutely the direction of where the NFT community is going. It's no longer about how cool is the picture that you have. My argument is that CryptoPunks, even though they own a majority of the market share now, they will definitely be toppled over by other future NFT projects that have incredibly high yielding utility. One of the utilities being, owning an NFT makes you passive income in the sense that by owning one of these NFTs, it produces X amount of tokens that is tied to the NFT collection. You can then convert those tokens into Ethereum on specific exchanges. So there's ones in particular called CyberKongs. They were the first NFT collection to implement this utility, and they make their holders passive income of anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 a day per NFT that you hold. So a lot of utility that is becoming relevant in this space when it comes to NFTs. My biggest suggestion, if you're looking to invest in NFTs, do research on which collections are best to buy. I would start by just opening up OpenSea, going to the analytics or the rankings, seeing the amount of volume sold 24 hours to 7 days, taking a look at the top 25, and looking at the amount of volume being traded daily. If they're being traded and bought a lot within a day, and it's selling for a pretty cheap price relative to what the market value is, then more or less it's a pretty good investment. But again, always do your research. Twitter is probably the most invaluable source of information. Better than if you're looking at Instagram and they're showing you what NFTs to buy, I would highly recommend not listening to anything you see on Instagram or Facebook. Start getting into some Discord channels, start talking to people, being part of the community. That's probably the biggest thing in the NFT space.
Hey, Giancarlo, where are you located? I'm
here in Orlando, Florida, man.
Hit me up. We'd love to have you speak on it at the Orlando conference.
Yeah, I would love that. I actually spoke with Kia today.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, you're very knowledgeable. We'd love to have someone like you that really could go in depth. This is great stuff.
Absolutely, man. I just want to educate people as much as possible because I know it's kind of a hot topic right now, and I
Did
hate
you
seeing
submit?
people
Did you submit to speak?
submit. Oh, I actually spoke with Kia. She mentioned that she wants me to speak at
Okay,
it.
please do. We would love to have you. You're amazing.
Yeah, I want to be contributing to the community. I want to educate people. That's my ultimate goal. So.
So Giancarlo has this. Just so you know, Giancarlo, when you got on here, and Evan, this is something for people to know. There's white knights like Giancarlo, and then there's other people that will try and sell you everything, under the thing. So you have to be very careful. So I love people like him that are helping educate, because there's just a lot to learn, and he's someone that looks out for people. So you always want to look out for really great people like him to if you don't know and they're around, they're really great resources in the community.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's go over to, we just got a whole bunch of questions coming in. So let's go to, and Giancarlo, thank you so much for contributing to this conversation. I very much appreciate it. And if we were in person, I think it would be, we'd all be, kind of together in one room. So it's tough to facilitate this sometimes, virtually, but I think this is great. Let's go over to Rob. Rob, if you would like to ask your question, I will unmute you and you can go ahead and ask.
All right, so you should be
Hey, Rob.
hearing me correctly. Good
Hey, how's it
afternoon. All right,
Hey.
as a programmer and on the merchant side of an application, a SaaS application, would it be better to best case to use the OpenSea APIs or the APIs of other providers like Now Payments versus trying to, I guess, understand everything and then get into the system if you're trying to get the best case scenario to get up and running with a live system?
If you're looking to get up and running, I would use the APIs that are there and then learn as you go if you're looking to create something custom.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm in the video live streaming space, so we want to do the same thing and be able to set that up. And I've been trying to move forward on this whole configuration of APIs. Basically, can you also try to make an explanation for what's the difference between really the NFT to a end user who has to use those coins? Are they more comfortable on an NFT versus actually having to, I guess the word buy into an episode?
Do you mean like a show?
Yes,
I
do.
don't.
I'm in the video world, so I'm
No, I
very into the
understand.
video.
I deal with a lot of creators. I don't know the answer to that just yet because it's such a we're at the cutting edge of all this stuff. We're just dipping our toe in. So I don't have enough data to know what the end user would be comfortable with right now in that space.
Okay, well, that's what my question was. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you. Let's go over to Arby. Arby, do you want to go ahead and ask your question for Chris?
Hey, sure. Hey, Evan. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
Might have already been kind of answered by from Morland's question. So I'm kind of like more interested of like creating art, and like in the physical world, there's always some sort of capital, or but then Chris did say that I guess as you go through OpenSea, you will kind of like learn these things as you go, right?
So two things for you. One, reach out to me because we have started more artists that are physical, that bring their physical art to our shows, and then we match them up with an artist who's already made the transition to NFTs, and they'll help you right then and there on site on the show floor, and we'll give you space to display your art. It's really not that hard, and the art community is very supportive of each other. So, if you reach out to me, and Evan, if we could put my email out, chris@podfestexpo.com, I'll be more than happy to connect you with a fellow artist to walk you through it.
Sounds good. Yep. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Arby. Anytime.
Thank you.
Let's go. Let's see. You know what, Chris, we had some questions from Meetup that were submitted. And I don't know if all the folks are on here who submitted those questions, but I'm just going to go through a few of these since they were asked in advance of today. So Gary asked, what is the best place to buy gaming cryptos? I don't know. We might have kind of touched on this, but in your opinion, where would you say that would be a good place?
I would defer to Giancarlo on that. I wouldn't be the best expert because it depends what kind of gaming crypto. because there's a lot of specific things, but maybe Giancarlo knows. I wouldn't know the exact place on a generalized gaming platform. I showed one, but it depends where you're at. I don't know, Giancarlo, do you know where the general place would be? I personally don't have an exact thing for that.
And Giancarlo, I can unmute you here 1 second. Go ahead.
Yes. Sorry, I'm trying not to be long-winded here, but
Oh, no.
yeah, there are plenty of play to earn games that are coming out, especially in Q1, Q2. You can look up, most of them are already on the major exchanges. For instance, all the metaverse ones, Decentraland, Sandbox, their tokens are called Sand and Mana, and you can find those on pretty much any exchange. I'm pretty sure you can even buy them on Coinbase. As far as like the game ones, those are also going to pretty much take over the space. Those are coming out Q1, Q2 of next year. Keep an eye out for ILV. It's called Illuvium. The coin is ILV. I've personally invested earlier this year, and I've seen pretty much 500% returns on it, and that will only continue to grow. So Illuvium, Sandbox, Decentraland, and Big Time. Big Time has a lot of big developers from Ubisoft, Epic Games, very, very big developers in the industry, and these will for sure have huge market caps. So definitely recommend. That is going to be the next wave, I can assure you.
There you go.
Thank you, Giancarlo. A couple other questions from Meetup that we had here. Kind of a lot of questions on how to evaluate an NFT project. Chris, in your opinion or your experience, what would you say is the best way to evaluate an NFT project?
I mean, Twitter is one of the best places to see if someone's pumping and dumping something, because they usually get called out almost immediately, because there are a lot of pump and dumps behind the scenes. And then it's all very subjective, but if you go on the exchanges, they do show you, kind of the value and the trajectory of some of these NFTs. So I'm not that's the best I can do on that answer. And Giancarlo's, knowing people like Giancarlo, I would say is one of the best ways to evaluate things, honestly, because he's so well versed. It would take a lot of time to catch up to where he's at, or my friends at the Crypto Night community.
Right on. And going over to Jessica. Jessica, I can unmute you, or I can just read your question. It's up to you. I will go ahead and hit the unmute here.
Yeah, hello, my name's Jessica.
Hey,
So
Jessica.
I tossed this question out there because I know Giancarlo, I believe it was, said, Twitter was a good platform for kind of getting an eye of a good source of what to invest in, and that, Instagram, Facebook were kind of bad. Discord was another good one. But what are the thoughts about TikTok, as that's becoming a wider social media platform for information? I mean, obviously all of them have their pros and their cons,
TikTok's
having
one
to
of
do
my
your own
favorites.
research.
TikTok's one of my favorites. We actually feature an entire panel of people. Half of them are TikTokers at the Florida Bitcoin and Blockchain. And that kind of surprised a lot of the old school investment people. I'm like, hey, this is where the next generation is getting the information. And what surprised them was how valuable and how smart and astute the TikTokers were when it came to investment. If anything, they were probably even more knowledgeable than some of the experts in the room. So it was really eye-opening for everybody. So Jessica, TikTok for sure. There's a lot, I would just be careful of finding anyone that takes you down the road of kind of getting you into their deals. You want TikTokers are able to debate and evaluate. One of the things that the TikTokers told us is, unlike CNBC, where someone just throws something out there and no one responds, on TikTok, it's a full contact blood sport. People are responding, they're reacting, they're talking, and they're testing out their ideas in real time. So it seems to be a great area. And then a lot of the great TikTokers will have a YouTube channel if you want more from that person. One of the more popular people we featured was Crypto Wendy, and she was amazing at the Florida Bitcoin blockchain. She was really great.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Jessica. We have a whole bunch of other questions, but we are running out of time here. We go until 6, and I like to be considerate of time and maybe even give a few minutes back. Chris, I will make sure on behalf of all the attendees tonight that you get a copy of these questions so that you can take a look at them and maybe reach out to some folks.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, and with that said, I think at this point we are just going to wrap it up. Chris, did you actually just want to kind of give a little foreshadowing to the next Bitcoin, Florida Bitcoin and Blockchain Summit in May of
Yeah,
what
so
some of
yeah.
the bigger sessions will be?
Yeah, so here's the vision though, just so people know what we're building with the Florida Bitcoin and Blockchain. The organization will be known as the Florida Bitcoin and Blockchain, but each conference will have a focus of different things. So the Tampa will be our home court. Once a year, we'll have a huge delegation in Tampa. We're expecting somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000 this next go around, possibly more in November. In Orlando, that's where we're going to really focus on our DeFi and NFT education, as well as an entire real estate track for real estate blockchain. And then we are planning right now, I'm going down to Miami next week. We're planning on doing something the day before Bitcoin Miami. We haven't announced it yet, but we want to bring all the tokenization of real estate. We want to do the first ever like full on day long event and then an after party. So if you see us promoting any event, if you go to floridablockchainsummit.com, if you can, grab your passes for Orlando. But if you see us promoting an event, the purpose of this event is for those of us that live in the state of Florida to build deep, meaningful relationships and meet the technologists of tomorrow today, so we could all build a new future, a decentralized, autonomous future for our kids to live into. So that's, we're going to be triangulating the state between the tech triangle of Tampa, Orlando, and Miami. So the next event that's already on the books with tickets that you could get is May 25th, 26th in Orlando at the Hilton. We've reserved the entire hotel. So we have a lot of space, and we're always looking for people. If you know artists, please tell them to reach out to us. We want to help and support the community, and we're going to create some college passes so we could get the college kids out as well. We want to bring everybody together on this ride. So I'm excited. You could tell, like, I've seen a lot of iterations. This next iteration of giving the power back to the people and the kids, so people have decentralized autonomous organizations, is the largest shift in humanity that's ever happened up until this moment. So it's a pretty amazing time to be alive, if you ask me.
Very awesome, and I got that feeling from putting this event together, and just seeing the questions come in, and just from tonight. So it's very cool. Chris, I want to thank you for your time. On behalf of the Pinellas Tech Network, if you don't know, you can go to PinellasTechNetwork.com. We actually have a website. You can find us on LinkedIn, Eventbrite, or Meetup.com. But I so appreciate your time. Please be on the lookout for the next Pinellas Tech Network meetup. Hey, who knows? It might even be in person. And I need to give a shout out to our sponsor, Geographic Solutions. And that's all I got. So thank you, everybody. And I will see you at the next Pinellas Tech Network meetup. Chris, thank you, and have a great night.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Giancarlo, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. Bye, Evan.
Bye, all.